Well, welcome to Carpool Q&A, where we give you one topic in 15 minutes or so to start your day. And each week, one of us brings a separate question. The others don't know it ahead of time. And so we just get to popcorn and surprise each other and have a conversation about it. So today it's my turn. And we've got kids in a wide range of activities, from like the arts to sports, whatever. I played sports growing up and understand that field the best. I also, just by nature, am extremely competitive. And so one line that I've been trying to figure out, and I would love y'all's comments on this, maybe this is applicable to everybody out there too, is how do you toe the line between pushing your kids to kind of be the best, try their hardest, get the most out of an activity, and to learn that life skill of trying hard at stuff and being excellent at stuff, and also maintaining relationship and keeping connection and balancing empathy and compassion. So I'll hang up and listen, guys.
This is such a good question. I'm thinking about a conversation I had with a mom a couple weeks ago when we were doing one of our fundraising events and we were just chatting. She had a senior in high school that was like finished with this competitive sport that they'd literally been doing since early middle school. And they had like one more semester left of high school and they were ready to be done. And she was like, Tana, do I make her finish or do I let her stop? And I was like, I have exactly no idea. Like, I do not know. I do not think there is a right answer
Yeah.
to that question.
Yeah.
And then all I knew to do was be like, what do you think she needs? And like, we just sat and talked about what all was going on. And like, of course, there was more to that story, like relationally and socially, like there was more going on, you know? Um, and then in my own situation, I've had to work through that. And I think we've made different decisions for different kids at different stages and ages and times. So I think this is a very real question that probably all parents are going to face at some time or another.
Yeah.
Um, y'all know this. We had our staff Christmas party here at our house last night.
Mhm.
And of course, I didn't until I was the last people left at 11. We were having a good old time. Y'all ducked out, but some
That's
other people stayed
awesome.
late,
Yeah.
sat on the back porch, and kept on going. Of course, I'm crawling in bed and I look at today's schedule and realize one of our kids had an early morning sports practice that I didn't know or remember was on the schedule. I didn't prep them ahead of time. I didn't tell them before they went to bed.
Oh,
They
shoot.
stayed up very late. So I was literally faced with this thing this morning. Do I
Yeah.
wake them up early? Do I tell them they need to go? Or do I sort of let this one slide? And it's that exact principle, JD, of
Yeah.
like, what's the commitment to the team? Sadly, this kid I woke up and wasn't feeling their best. Like, we didn't go today.
Yeah.
But Mo and I were like, this isn't what you should do for team sports. They're part of a team.
I
They need to
know.
get up and go. And so we
No.
literally woke up with this exact tension this morning.
Yeah.
And they stayed home today and I felt bad. I was like, maybe we should have pushed. What lesson did we accidentally teach them this morning by
I
accident?
know.
I don't know. So this is a tricky one. It's a good
It's a
question.
really good question, JD. I think the question, so something that we talk about a lot is this idea of like positive stress helps us grow. And the question is really like, when is it positive stress that's helping them grow? Because we have to face challenges. Like, if we protect our kid from every uncomfortable feeling, we are not allowing them to grow. And
Yep.
so, and that can happen if we're not thoughtful and careful. On the flip side, if we push our kid too far, that can become what's called toxic stress, and that can become chronic, and it can cause lots of challenges. The first thing that comes to mind, feel free to disagree, you guys, since
Oh,
we
I love
don't
it.
prep
Let's
these
do
in
it.
advance.
Ooh.
The first thing that comes to mind is like, you probably have a tendency. I was raised in a Tarleton's don't quit household. I
Yeah.
went to school once, immediately went to the nurse and had 103 fever because my family thought I was faking it because I like to read and they thought she just wants to read the new book she got. Get up and go to school. And I had 103 fever. Thank
Oh
you.
my God.
So
I love
I
it.
am not a parent yet, but
Sure.
probably I will bring that history to my parenting
Yeah.
And you probably lean one way or the other. So you're probably either a you show up no matter what family,
Yep.
or you might be a it's always optional, honey, family. And there's extremes.
Yeah.
And both of those are good at times. But I think I can't answer your question, JD, but I can just say, you know, you.
Uh-huh.
So, if you're kind of I always let them off the hook. And so really they have not learned, and we'll just play it all the way out into adulthood. That
Yeah.
could be the kid that can't hold a job because they can't, because every time
That's
they don't
right.
want to go to work, they call in. We talk about often, lots of our work that we do is mean and rich and full. And there's a little bit of drudgery and you don't always want to
Yeah.
do it and you still
Oh my
have to.
gosh.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
so like
Yeah.
that's a
Yes.
life lesson. If
Yep.
you are blessed, but if you are the like, you better go quit, you probably need to lighten up a little bit. You probably need to be okay sometimes, letting him off the hook and letting him have, have a different decision. But I think what matters is your kid and their character and growth.
Yeah.
To me, that always outweighs. I mean, that's a personal opinion. It's not everyone's opinion. I never think that the sport or the dance team or the musical band or anybody takes priority over that kid's well-being. So you do need to pay attention to your specific kid and how they're doing. There's lots of ways you can live it out, but my knee jerk is just which extreme do you lean towards? You probably need to move a little bit towards the middle.
Yeah. And the thing that has brought this out specifically in our family has been, as our kids have gotten into elevated levels of
Yeah.
whatever stuff.
Competition.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, higher levels of, we have one kid who dances, and they dance, with
Mhm.
kids that are multiple years older than him. Right. So like, that kid is dealing with like challenges in keeping up with kids a lot older than them, and because he's really skilled. And so, same with as our other kids have gotten into that kind of middle school age, and there's middle school sports, the intensity ramps up a lot. Says a dad who got kicked out of a middle school soccer game last year for yelling at a referee. Hand up, that was me. It was not
Unbelievable.
anything profane that I yelled. I just told him he should pay more attention to the game than to us, and he didn't like that. And so I repeated it so he could hear it again, and then he could give me the boot. So, I'm out.
I
I was
kind of wish I would have been there. Like, I'm
uh
just sad I wasn't on that
it was
field on that Saturday
I
morning. I
was
just wish I would have been
defending
there.
I was defending the honor of one of our coworkers.
Yeah.
One of our therapists, her son played in the team. He got an elbow to the back of the head, and so I just voiced my displeasure with that. And so I was defending his honor, and it was a very long walk of shame out of that soccer stadium. I'll tell you that right now. um, so I am just an intense person, but there are points of regret that I had as I got older where I could see my parents let me off the hook in some of like that kind of last 10% of what it takes to really learn how to push and grow. I had a few coaches who did not let us off the hook in that, and I love them for that today. So I think there's that balance. Those coaches I think of, though, also were very nurturing to us, like, emotionally. So on the other side of that, screaming and yelling in practices and pushing for one, I ran a lot. So I did like one more mile or one more lap or one more interval or whatever. Like, all of that yelling then will usually be coupled with, like, in the summers, it was after that we would go to our coach's pool and have pizza and hang out and play pool basketball and all that. So like, there was relationship that accompanied that. So it create an environment where I would listen a little bit better, and I would hold to those. Like, I wanted to give better effort for that coach at the end. And then I saw the personal results at races and meets and all that. And so I think that's, I feel like we're talking all over the place about this. For me, one of those lines, and I don't feel like I'll ever master this, but one of the lines that has been really helpful has been that we have really tried to be more on the let the kids lead into what level of intensity they want to like train and practice at.
Yeah.
And then when they kind of have the information and make a commitment to train at whatever certain level, we're going to then hold them on, uh, gosh, middle school cross country Saturday mornings, all fall at 7 a.m. They
Ooh.
have practice 30 minutes away from our house. So they're waking up earlier than they do on school days on Saturday mornings to go out. Usually in the Memphis heat, it's already like 95 degrees by 7 a.m. And they are, running whatever. So they will make the decision, hey, I do want to do this. I do want to get better. I do want the Saturday morning practices. I want to do it. And then it comes time to actually hold them to it. And so we've been pretty good about holding them to it, outside of if they're sick or whatever. So that's been our line so far. I'll just kind of offer that as much as I can. I don't know if y'all have any closing thoughts.
I like what you said, JD, because I think about that initial decision.
Mhm.
And one of our particular kiddos is just very naturally athletic. They're
Mhm.
very gifted and wired in an athletic way.
Yeah.
And so naturally, I'm like, oh, this is going to be fun. Like, I'm celebrating. I mean, it's not all pure, y'all. But of course, I'm like celebrating their athleticism. And I'm thinking, oh, this is going to be a really fun kiddo to watch go through athletics.
Right.
And they
Right.
participated a little early on and then like opted out of everything.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, man, like, we missed, like, 2 school years of any participation." And I went and talked to one of the female coaches at the school and was like, what do you think here?" Because they know this kiddo, and they were like, "Don't too young, don't push them,
Um,
or they're not gonna wanna come back." And so, you know what? We spent, like, a couple of years not we were not in therapy because of this, but
yeah.
in our counseling sessions, talked a lot about that experience of competition,
Yeah.
and there was, like, stuff there that needed some care and attention.
Yeah.
Like, there was some emotional stuff connected. The body
Yeah.
was ready and could have beat everybody,
Yeah.
but emotional and heart just wasn't quite up to that level of competition. So
Yeah.
we, like, took care of their heart, and now they're back out on the court and out in the sport. So, like, I know we did that okay.
Yeah.
I
That's
think that's where I really like that delineation you said, JD, of, like, you gave them choice
Mhm.
to participate. Then you provided that support to stick with that commitment. And there might be a time when they opt out. And like, I'm just going to name that, like, that was real sad for me. And I
Yeah.
had a little FOMO and I wasn't out cheering cross country and at the back. And
Yeah.
I was feeling left out of the team and the parents. And I
Right.
was
Right. Right.
sad. And I'm like, oh, Tana, you are way too invested in these like elementary athletics. But it does become like a community.
Oh, totally.
It is a
Totally.
whole thing, but just
Yeah.
I don't know. I go easy. I like Becca, like, know your tendency because mine might be to go easy if I'm just thinking about the kid and then I was like trying to manipulate participation because I wanted to go and do it too.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Totally.
we're
Well,
up in
it's
the middle of
fun.
all that, by the
It's
way.
fun watching your kids be good at stuff.
It is, and they're
Yeah.
So
so
fun.
naturally gifted.
Yeah.
I was like, everybody will know your name if you'll just get out there and do your thing, you know? And they
Like,
didn't
well,
want
that's
to.
terrifying.
I know, that was it. She don't know my name, you know? I was
Can
like,
I
"Oh,
race anonymously?
dear."
Yeah. Yeah. Well, in closing, I'll just say this. Like um, we just today finished a basketball season. And this one kid who, is not, probably is not the best natural athlete in our family was, so persistent and so, committed to working in every practice and in asking the coach for help on certain things and always asking where she's supposed to be and always ask like just use that time practice so well and was so committed in there and today scored like not that and again I realize even in
We
my
can
own
celebrate it,
saying this
JD. We can
I can
celebrate it.
celebrate it. She scored the winning basket in her last game. And so like that they like are in the season on a win and she was the reason for it. And that was awesome. And that's not to say that's the goal of parenting, obviously. But it was really fun to watch her have some competency that she built
Yep.
from doing a whole bunch of work on time days and times where she really probably didn't want to, right? And same for another
So,
kid, PR'd in every race this year because of Saturday
yeah.
mornings, like that work. And so yeah.
Before we totally close, I'm going to ask for one additional minute past our 15. This
Okay.
can also be the case if you have a child that is naturally wired for academics.
Mhm.
Yes.
It's
Right.
the
Right.
exact same
Right. Yeah.
principle because this would be another one of our kiddos, like, that competitive spirit is 100% about grades.
Yes.
So, same thing, competed in the little spelling bee, and it was getting close, and I'm like, "Love, you've got a choice to make. Your name is on the list.
Mhm.
How much are we studying? You have to decide how you wanna feel when you're standing up in front of the group of kids." So,
Mm.
like, it's I don't think it's just sports. I think this is sort of a principle
Mhm.
around nurturing those
Mhm.
things in them, and
Yeah.
when do you push in and push towards the thing that you think they're just naturally wired at, and
Yeah.
when do you, like, give them some time to develop and grow towards it a little on their own? So, this same concept, same idea can also be applied, I think, in other sort of extracurriculars or hobbies or
Yeah.
a pull towards athletics or arts or
Right.
really kind of anything.
Mhm.
Yeah.
My
And
closing thought is pay attention to yourself, pay attention to your kid. Um,
mhm.
some kids are super driven and they're gonna beat themselves up and be really hard on themselves, and they need more of you coaching them through that shame and the embarrassment and the never good enough. Other kids are, um, less driven by X factors.
Mhm.
Might need a little bit more encouragement to do
Yep.
something that has a little bit of stakes to it, to
Yeah.
Yep.
participate or finish something out even when it wasn't as fun as they thought it would be. And so pay attention to yourself, pay attention to your kid. Um, nobody gets it right. We just do the best we can.
Right. That's right. Yeah.
And we know that those extra things are like building character. So if you can
Right.
keep like that area of growth as the most, like, let that trump
Mhm.
their like performance.
Performance. Mhm.
Yeah. Let
Yes.
their character and health and well-being and connection trump it. And then, go a season of having a little FOMO and sitting on the sidelines without your baby out there doing their thing. Anyway,
And last thought, let them
yeah.
try a bunch of stuff
Oh,
as they're younger and just exploring stuff. And don't try the best you can not to get sucked into the kind of world of like having to over specialize in your thing at such a young age. Um, that all kind of studies are coming out now talking about, especially in athletics, like varying your experiences for your body's own sake of developing and growing. But I think that works for your mind, for your emotions as well. And that, like you said, Tana, that applies to arts, athletics, to academics, to social settings, like giving your kids exposure to different worlds is almost always a really, really good experience. So for Becca, for Tana, for everybody here at ETC, I'm JD, and we'll see you next week on Carpool Q&A.